everyone out there. Welcome once again to my YouTube channel, Rediscover Your Touch. Today we'll be taking a lesson on plane geometry 2 and we'll actually be talking about circle theorem. But prior to our discussion for today, I'll actually urge you guys out there to subscribe to my YouTube channel and also to like and share my videos to students out there who might need this knowledge. Alright, so I trust we can start. Okay, so we have circle theorem on the board, that is plane geometry 2. And before we actually begin with the big deal, that is answering illustrative examples about circle theorem, we'll actually get to know about the parts of a circle first. Having a cognitive understanding about parts of a circle is usually a prerequisite in really understanding the aspects of plane geometry 2, specifically with circles. So without wasting much time, as depicted on the board, I'll actually show you through the parts of a circle, their names, and we'll actually get to know about the other diagram as well, which I've also depicted below the board. Alright, so I trust we can commence. Okay, so with the initial part of the circle, that is, this area of the circle is targeting a line enclosed within a boundary of an arc on the circumference of the circle. So we actually term this part as a segment. So this part is called a segment. And then we also move on to another part, as we can all see on the board. And that is what we specifically term as the diameter. And the diameter divides the circle into a hemisphere, or in other words, two equal halves. So we are actually going to have our line AB to be our diameter. We further move on to angle COB. Angle COB translates to give us our sector. So we have angle COB or BOC as our sector. And then we also have line PQ to be our chord. Line PQ translates to give us our chord. We also have an outside line touching the circumference of the circle at D, and that also becomes our tangent. So taking illustrations of the first diagram, we've come to know what a segment is as illustrated on the board. We also know our usual diameter, which divides the circle into two equal halves. We have our chord, which encloses some parts of the circle. It could really be any part of the circle as far as it is bounded by a line and an arc. And precisely, just like I stated, we have below our line PQ being what? Our arc. So that is our arc. And then we also have our tangent, which is an outside line touching the circumference or a part of the circumference of a circle. And then we have angle COB or BOC translating to give us our sector. So our sector is actually this region. Okay, so we transcend to the second diagram of parts of a circle. So we have this be our circle, that is our center, and then A, B. So we have this part, that is sector AOB as our minor arc. And then we have the bottom aspect of it to be our major arc. So you see, in our minor arc, we have our obtuse angle. So we have our obtuse angle. And in our major arc, we also have our reflex angle. So you see, our obtuse angle connects to our reflex angle to give us the entire angle of around a point, which is typically 360 degrees. So these are the standard parts of a circle that we'll be making reference to when we are tackling the theorems of circle, specifically circle theorems. So I trust you actually grasp what we've discussed thus far under parts of a circle. And mind you, like I stated, these are the foundations to circle theorem, because most of the theorems will be making reference to either the center of a circle, the diameter of a circle, the chord of a circle, or sometimes the arc of a circle. And mostly, the most reflexive aspect is making reference to tangent of a circle. We'll get to address and discuss all these theorems one after the other, and we'll take illustrative examples as well in order to get ourselves abreast with this topic. So I urge you guys out there to have a seat, relax, take your jotter, and then record some of the important ideas that I'll be translating in this discussion. So I'll actually be taking the first theorem about circles in my next lesson. And for today, I've directly attempted to explain the parts of a circle that are really needed in understanding the circle theory or plane geometry 2. But before we draw the curtains on our today's lesson, I'll actually make reference to the knowledge that if you really understood plane geometry 1, that is the angles about parallel line properties, the properties of triangles, that is about the sum of interior angles of a triangle summing up to give us 180, is really going to be tantamount, or is really going to be needed in circle theorem 2. So I'll give you a gist that if you really have a fair knowledge about properties of a triangle, then you are really guaranteed to understanding this discussion on circle theory. So, like I stated, without much time on our side, I'll actually be drawing curtains on our today's discussion. And on my next lesson, that will be specifically our lesson 1 on tackling the theorems of circles. I'll actually be representing or discussing how well we can really get to understand the examples on each of the theorems that I'll be taking you through. So I actually want to thank you all for following my channel, and also I'll urge you guys out there to make a referrals to your colleagues, to subscribe to my YouTube channel, to like my video as well, and share among your relative colleagues who might be in need of this knowledge. And for that matter, I'll actually be saying kudos to you guys, and until our next lesson, bye.